Welcome to Internet Quality Academy. The channel is for the quality control engineer, site engineer, and the civil engineer who are working in the construction field. In this channel, we are dealing with anything and everything which is required to get success in the construction. Today also, I'm going to discuss about a very important topic, that is the what is exposure condition of concrete and what is the different types of exposure condition and what is the comparison in between these different types of exposure condition as per IS 456. So today's video, I will describe each and everything. So stay tuned until the end to get the full information. And if you are new in my channel, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I'll upload a new video, you will get immediate notification. So without wasting time, let's jump into the subject, that is environmental exposure conditions. What does it mean? That whatever we are doing the concrete, we need concrete is on the earth surface. So there is a different weather conditions. Some area is extreme hot, some areas too much rainy, some areas too much cold, some area is seashore or in the coastal area, or some area where is the chemical or the harmful chemical effect can be happen. So according to the area where my concrete is placed or my structure is placed, there are different condition. So whatever the area is not too much dry or not too much rainy, that area in compared to the where there is too much rain throughout the year, the same concrete condition cannot be withstand. So we need to do the concrete as per our the exposure condition. This is the first and foremost thing to do the concrete mix design. So whenever we are doing the concrete mix design, first we need to know what is my exposure condition. So according to that, we can do the mix design. But how to do the mix design, I have made a detailed video. Link is there or in the description. You will get full the information about how to do the mix design as per IS 10262 2019. So these are the environmental condition we need to first know. First, to know what is IS code for that. That is our code IS 456. It is described in the IS 456 that what are the exposure condition can be. What is the relevant clause? That is table 3, clause 8.2.2.1, clause 35.3.2. In these two clause in table 3, it is described in details the what are the relevant clause or what are the different exposure condition. So what is the different exposure condition according to the IS 456? In table 3, it is described that there are 5 exposure condition can be raised, that is mild, moderate, severe, very severe, and extreme according to the area and exposure condition of the earth. This to be classified in IS 456, that mild, moderate, severe, very severe, and extreme. So one by one we will discuss what is mild, what is moderate, what is severe, what is very severe, and extreme. First, we need to know what is a mild exposure. See, mild exposure means exposure to an environment that has no aggressive chemical effects or severe physical impact. That means it is an ideal situation. There will be the environment will not affect, concrete will not affect due to the environmental condition, because environment is favorable for the concrete and has no aggressive chemicals and severe physical impact. So what are the implications? That minimal exposure needed for the protection, basic concrete mix is sufficient. So that is example, interior of buildings where concrete is not exposed to the external element, that can be classified as the mild exposure. So mild exposure is that there is very minimal effect of on concrete of the environment, that can be called as a mild exposure. Then it is the moderate exposure. It is not exactly the same mild exposure, but there is some effect of environment on the concrete, and accordingly we need to prepare our concrete or mix design, and we need to protect our concrete. What is this? Exposure to the environments where moderate saturation or with water or limited exposure to aggressive chemical is present. So these are the conditions that we need to find out, that if my concrete or my area of structure is exposure to the environment or moderate saturation with water, or that means limited rain, some hot, cold, but that not much, that month that is not going to the freezing point, that is called the moderate exposure. Implication requires moderate product protections measures and appropriate concrete mix design to resist occasional moisture and mild chemical effect. So this moderate exposure, and according to the exposure condition, the water cement ratio, minimum cement concrete, minimum grade of concrete will be changed, that I will discuss later. So these are the moderate exposure. And what is the example? Sheltered external areas, coastal areas with moderate salinity, and industrial areas with minimal chemical exposure. That means the moderate means there is some harmful chemical, there is some environmental effect, but it is not that extent, so that it can be only minimal protection will be okay to withstand the environmental condition. So this mild, moderate. Now the severe condition. What is severe condition? Exposure to severe environment that involve high humidity, high salinity, and aggressive industrial chemicals. That means humidity is high, salinity is high, aggressive industrial chemicals is there. So these are all effect to the concrete. How? This, if the humidity is high, that means there is a high percentage of moisture. So it has the tendency that the chemical of this moisture will penetrate inside the concrete. And high salinity, that means chloride ion is also there. So whenever this chloride ion and the moisture will increase inside the concrete, and if it is reached to the reinforcement, what will happen? Reinforcement will start corroding, and this is a cancer for the concrete. And if it is start corroding, the volume will increase, the concrete will crack, swelling will happen. So our complication will be take care, and our structural stability will be in a problem. So that is why it is to be protected, so that my concrete and the reinforcement has no detrimental effect. So what is the implication? That is higher grade of concrete, additional protective coatings or barriers, and special construction practices are required to ensure durability. So as I already discussed, that durability means how the concrete is withstand with the environment and make its lifestyle longer. So that is why the durability. But what is durability? What is the effect or effective durability? And what is the best practice for the durability? And what is the test? I have made a detailed video. Please check. In link is there or in the description. You will get full information about this. So these are the implication about the severe exposure. And what is the example? Coastal areas with high salinity, industrial areas with significant chemical exposure, or place with cycling, wetting, and drying. What is happening these areas? That means high salinity. Again, this the chloride percentage is more. So what will happen? These can prone to corrosion of the reinforcement, and industrial areas and a significant chemical exposure that can harm for the concrete. And if there is a cyclic wetting and drying, that means there is a temperature difference. So if there is a temperature difference, thermal expansion coefficient of the concrete and these expansion and contraction, there can be a crack develop. So whenever it is a severe exposure condition, we need to protect our concrete, and we need to choose higher grade of concrete also. Then the next condition is very severe. That means we can understand it is more degree of exposure, that more control is required. It is above the severe condition. What is happening? Exposure to environments with very high level of aggressive elements or extreme weather condition. So that means it is an extreme weather condition. Let's see what is saying in as per IS 456, the very severe condition here. See, in table 3, what is saying? It is exposure very severe. Concrete surface exposed to seawater spray, corrosive fumes, and severe freezing condition. Wet concrete in contact with or buried under aggressive subsoil or groundwater. What does it mean? That concrete is exposed to seawater spray. It is not directly on the sea, but it is exposed to the seawater spray. That means high salinity and chloride ion can expose, and corrosive fumes and freezing condition. That means temperature can go beyond the freezing point, and aggressive subsoil and groundwater. So it is in contact with aggressive subsoil. What is happening? All these chemicals are in this. It is has the detrimental effect on the concrete surface. It will deteriorate the concrete, as well as it will deteriorate the corrosion of the reinforcement bar. And if the corrosion is happened, the concrete stability and structural stability is a problem. So these are the very severe condition. And if the very severe condition is there, we need to protect our concrete very carefully, and we need to choose what grade of concrete can be okay. So it is saying requires highly durable concrete, mixes advanced protective measures, and meticulous construction practice to withstand aggressive conditions. So very meticulous method to be precise, grade of concrete to be more, and we need to protect the concrete to avoid any type of contact with the harmful chemical and waters. In example, areas with continuous high salinity like tidal zones, aggressive industrial environments with high level of chemicals exposure, or regions with severe frost action. So what is happening in the frost action also? What is happens in the freezing and thawing cycles? First things, this temperature is varying, so the thermal expansion and contraction, that is the crack can happen, and also the water particle inside, if it is penetrate, then if it is going in below the freezing point, it will minima exposed to the, and it will be form ice, and whenever the ice is formed, well, we know that the volume is increased. So whenever the volume is increased, stress is development and the concrete will crack. So that is why if it is in the freezing thawing cycle process, so we need to protect our concrete, and it is considered as very severe exposure. The last but is the extreme exposure. That means exposure to environment with highest level of aggressive from chemical, physical, or climatic factors. Let's see what IS 450 is saying on this. The IS 456. See, in extreme condition, what is saying? Surface members in tidal zone. That means the tidal zone area, that means very close to the sea, members in direct contact with liquid, solid, and aggressive chemicals. That means it is in direct contact with the water, liquid, and aggressive chemicals, and it is in the tidal zone. But if this condition is like that, our condition will be exposure condition, will be the extreme exposure condition. Then what we need to do? Use of specialized concrete mixes with high performance extensive protective coatings and rigorous construction and maintenance practices are essential. That means we need to choose the water cement ratio, we need to choose the grade of concrete, grade of cement. So whatever, we need to protect our concrete, and we need to periodical maintenance of concrete also required, and we need to protect the concrete surface in order to avoid the contact with the extreme condition, environmental condition, harmful chemicals, or penetration of moisture. So this way we can protect our concrete in extreme exposure condition. An example, structure in seawater, areas with constant chemical spills, or regions with extreme temperature fluctuation. If it is a very much temperature fluctuation, then the thermal expansion and contraction will happen, and again this will be cracks. So that stress will develop, and when the stress is developed, there will be cracks, balling of the concrete, which is ultimately against our the structural stability. So as per the condition, there are five categories already we discussed, that mild exposure, moderate exposure, severe exposure, very severe exposure, and extreme exposure. So let's see what is the comparison. According to the IS 456, here mild exposure is no aggressive chemicals effect or severe physical impact. Example, interior of buildings, concrete surface protected against weather, and basic concrete mix is sufficient for that. But moderate saturation with water or limited exposure to aggressive elements. And it is example, sheltered external areas, coastal areas with moderate salinity. And what is the implication? That is moderate protection measures and appropriate concrete mix design required. And the severe condition, that is high humidity, high salinity, and or aggressive industrial chemical exposure. That is coastal areas with high salinity, industrial areas with chemicals. Then higher grade of concrete, additional protective coatings or barriers required. And the very severe, very high level of aggressive elements or extreme weather condition, tidal zone, aggressive industrial environment is the example, and highly durable concrete mix is required. And the extreme, that is highest level of aggression from chemical, physical, and climatic factors. Seawater exposure, constant chemical spills, that is use of specialized concrete mixes with high performance and rigorous construction and maintenance. So these are the comparison table and different grade exposure condition as per the IS 456, and accordingly we need to choose the different kind of water cement ratio and minimum content cement content, that is also explained in IS 456 in table 5. Let's see in the table 5 what is the minimum cement content, maximum water cement ratio, minimum grade of concrete for different exposure condition with nominal aggregate of 2 and nominal maximum size. So these are the conditions. See, if my condition is mild, moderate, severe, and very severe and extreme. See, here it is saying plain concrete. If we are doing PCC and it is RCC. Suppose my condition or my structure is belongs to severe condition. So what will happen? My RCC, these are the severe condition, and RCC concrete is minimum M30 and maximum water cement ratio 0.45, minimum cement concrete is 320. So we need to choose this one whenever we are doing or preparing mixed design. This criteria has to satisfy whenever we are doing concrete in severe condition. But if it is in extreme condition, here to see the minimum grade is M40. That means the minimum grade is increasing. In the mild C, M20 is minimum. For moderate 25, severe 30, very severe 35, and extreme is M40. So in order to protect our concrete, the grade of concrete is increasing, and the same way our water cement ratio is decreasing, and minimum cement content also increasing. So we need to verify first what is my exposure condition, and accordingly we need to choose the what is the minimum grade of concrete, what is the maximum water cement ratio, what is the minimum cement concrete. So that is everything about the exposure condition as per IS 456. And I hope you enjoyed this, and if you find it useful, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video you'll get immediate notification. And if you are watching this one, kindly share your feedback. From your feedback everybody will be benefited, and if you want to know anything about quality control and construction, please let me know. I'll come with more content like this. And thank you once again for watching me.